Hi Cheryl. Shall I start then?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello everybody. Welcome to this video chat between Cheryl Taylor and I. Cheryl, as some of you may well know, is the most amazing trichologist, and she's helped me twice when I've had extreme hair loss. One time I was losing hair like that much a day, I'm pretty sure it felt like. It was getting really thin, and she's rescued my hair twice. So I am literally Cheryl's biggest fan, and I love talking to Cheryl about hair, using all her products, which I do on a daily basis. I'm happy to say I use her magnesium oil on my feet, and I use her shower doodahs in the shower, and of course the shampoos that I use, and so on. So I'm her biggest fan. Now, Cheryl and I were just having a conversation about why my hair is so knotty, and it's just been so knotty lately. And Cheryl told me why. So over to you.
Yes. So, how I explain hair, if hair is growing through an unhealthy environment, then it will be flyaway, dry, frizzy, and knotty. And the reason being is if the scalp is unhealthy, and generally due to stress or medication, um, then what happens is as the hair is growing through, the cuticle splays out. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen a hair under the microscope, but the cuticle grows from root to tip. So if you imagine stroking a snake from head to tail, it's going to feel smooth. If you stroke it up the other way, it's going to feel rough. And that's because of the scales on the snake, and that's what the hair looks like. So you have the cuticle on the outside. Now, if the scalp is unhealthy or you're going through a period of stress, you're creating more sweat because when we're under stress, we sweat more, then the cuticle will be away from the hair. So it will feel a little bit thicker because technically, if you measured it from one side to the other, it would feel thicker, but also it will feel very rough. And all those little scales on the outside of the hair will attach to each other a little bit like Velcro, and that's why you get the knots.
Oh, that'll be it's, it's like dreadlocks under here at the end of the day. It's not too bad today. Oh,
Yeah,
there's a lump of
yeah.
fuzz. Oh, and another lump of fuzz. Look at that.
So depending on when you went through the stress will depend on where the problem is. So if you've got knots at the end of your hair's probably about 5-ish years old,
Hmm.
then whatever stress you was going through would have been 5 years old because that's where the knots are.
And what struck me when we talked about this before was 5 years ago was when we went into lockdown and we had all this very, very, very high anxiety time, as we're all acutely aware.
Yeah.
And I particularly found it extremely distressing,
Mhm.
because of all the things that were going on, being separated from my children and so on, and not knowing what's going on. And, because all the things you hear might be going on. And what a high anxiety time. And
Oh,
here we are
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
And this is why I'm seeing so much hair loss as well due to stress, but also the medications as well. So that would cause the same effect in the scalp. So you're going to get high stress skin. So you might get eczema, psoriasis, hair loss because of those, the reasons that the medication cause unhealthy systems, as we
Yeah.
know.
So inflammation, basically.
Inflammation,
So
yes.
let's talk about inflammation and
Mhm.
hair.
Inflammation in the hair follicle can cause itchiness, oiliness, sweaty scalp, flakiness, and also you'll see someone has more of a pinky red scalp as well because all of that high inflammation is to the top. Now, if you've got inflammation in the hair follicle, the hair can't live as long as it would have done under a healthy scalp environment.
Yeah.
So, say perfect scalp, healthy scalp, your hair will live 5 to 7 years, die and fall out. If you've got any kind of inflammation in the scalp, then that hair may only live about 3 years, 2 years, 1 year in extreme circumstances, because the inflammation isn't allowing the hair to grow to its full potential. So that's how inflammation can it what a lot of, especially women coming to me say, I used to be able to grow my hair down my back. Now I can only get it just past my shoulders. So that is telling me that they used to be able to grow their hair 5 to 7 years. Now they can only grow it 2 years. So that has probably taken about 5 to 10 years to get to that position. And it could be just a chronic stress situation. So you're you're always on the go, you're working, you're a mum, you've got a lot of stress, elderly parents, all of that kind of thing. And it's been ongoing stress. So technically the person won't feel the stress because they've got used to that environment and being in that situation. But obviously the hair notices. So
Yeah.
not only will they not be able to get their hair sort of maybe past their shoulders, they will also have a lot of little tiny short hairs.
And the
Uh,
body keeps score, doesn't it?
it does. It does keep score. And
Yeah.
we just get used to those stressful situations, don't we?
Yeah.
And then one day your body goes, right, I've had enough. I'm going to make your hair fall out. And then you'll sit up and listen.
Yeah. So what kind of things will, so you mentioned to inflame the follicle I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You mentioned a few things like sweat and stress.
Yeah.
What other things will damage or inflame our follicles?
Um, well, it's the environment that it's under. So if you imagine your skin, you've got a blood supply to the root of the hair. There are sweat glands underneath the scalp. There are nerve endings underneath the scalp. And obviously, you've got all the blood flow and everything. So when you are under heightened stress, everything is working overtime. So
Yeah.
you may be getting more oily scalp because the sebaceous glands are overstimulated. You
Yeah.
may get a hot and sweaty scalp because the sweat glands are overstimulated. And as you know, we detox through our lipids. So
Yeah.
sebum is a lipid, it's an oil. So if you're very toxic inside, those toxins are going to be coming through the sebum and causing inflammation in and itself because it's toxic. So yes, by calming the inflammation, it has a knock-on effect of calming everything else down. We also have another little a little sweat gland that doesn't come directly to the surface of the skin. It actually goes straight into the hair follicle. So this can cause root level breakage of hair. So over time, this it's not technically sweat, but it is a watery liquid. It causes fractures in the hair. And then when you get enough fractures or the hair gets very, very brittle, then it can break off root level. And the little tiny short hairs is an indication of that as well. Um, so yeah, there's lots
Goodness
of things
me.
going on.
How do we, what are your top 5 tips
Right.
for maintaining a healthy hair follicle so that the hair can grow effectively out of it?
So detoxing internally as best you can, and obviously not putting rubbish in the system. Um,
Yeah,
using my absolute go-to lotion, which is the D2 lotion, which is the deep cleanse and detox lotion.
I love that. I can vouch for it
Oh,
myself.
absolutely. Whenever I feel a bit agitated because of the organic lemongrass essential oil, which is very calming and soothing to the nervous system. It's very cleansing. It's got some great benefits for hair as well. But it's also got white willow bark, which is an anti-inflammatory.
It's
Um,
like a natural aspirin, isn't it?
yes, exactly. So it was the initial form of aspirin before they chemicalized it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's anti-inflammatory and also it's very cleansing. So if there are any blockages in the hair follicle, it will dissolve those blockages. So if you've got a buildup of oil and sweat and dead skin cells or even hair product, it will remove those blockages in the hair follicle, and that allows a healthy hair to be able to grow through that environment. And it's very cooling as well. So you get an instant cooling effect on the scalp.
Yeah, I notice sometimes my scalp is really hot, and I remember you saying that that's not good. We
No,
need to calm down the heat. So yeah. So
exactly.
what else? That's 3 things. What else are your top tips for promoting healthy follicles?
Gentle cleansers. So the phyto shampoos are really good at cleansing without stripping your own natural oils from the hair follicle, from the scalp environment itself. And plus it's putting back lots of like nourishment. So you've got keratin, elastin, you've got plant proteins and also hyaluronic acid, which again is very hydrating on the hair and the skin, but without stripping. So there's no SLS in there. So it's not stripping all your natural oils from your hair. So
Mm.
that's four. And five is using one of my scalp lotions that you put on and it feeds the hair topically. So it gently encourages circulation because you've got witch hazel, but it's a very gentle stimulation, if you like. It's not overstimulating the scalp. And lots of vitamins and minerals and trace elements in there that's actually going to feed it topically. So that would be my top five. If
Wonderful. And what are your top five don'ts? What do we need to stop doing or avoid for healthy hair follicles?
Oh, it's all the usual. It's drinking clean water and, trying to get some help if you've got stress, anxiety, and PTSD. Um, Feeding your body with good nutrients, i.e., food. It's not my it's it's not my plan to keep people on supplements forever. It's about educating my clients so that they know the goods and the bads. Processed food, absolute no. But it's
Seed
not,
oils?
can't, oh, so seed oils. It's all the things that, we talk about on a regular basis. It's
Yeah.
your clean food, and as organic and clean as you can. And I know it's not possible all the time. I mean, I'm sitting here with, a nice cup of coffee, but this has got reishi in it. So yes, I'm
Mm.
having a coffee, but it's got reishi in the coffee. So
Yeah.
mitigating
Wonderful
the
stuff.
bad things that
Yeah.
that you that you do. So it's not about being all wonderful and gorgeous all the time.
Mm.
It's about, so okay, I would like that. So how can I get a cleaner version or something that's better for me? Um, Sleep and stress are the two worst things for hair because they both will knock your circadian rhythm out and also they will knock all your hormones out. So if you're producing a stress hormone, then everything else is out of balance. So yeah, stress and sleep, I would say, is
Yeah.
probably two of the worst things that you can do. Yeah.
So at the moment, it seems quite trendy to put castor oil on your hair. What are
Oh
your
God, I nearly spat my coffee out.
what are your views on putting castor oil on your scalp?
Right. If I explain what the scalp does naturally, and then explain what castor oil and rosemary oil will do, then you can make your own mind up whether you want to do it or not.
Okay.
So, our scalp produces its own natural lipid called sebum that is helping your body detox all the toxins from your body via your skin and your hair follicles, and it nourishes the hair and the scalp. It is antibacterial and it's exfoliating. So it's got many jobs. So it's detoxing, exfoliating, antibacterial, and nourishing. If you put castor oil or any oil on your scalp and you leave it on for any period of time, it's going to block the hair follicle up and it's not going to allow your own natural oils to come out. If you're doing this a lot, it's really going to block the hair follicle up, and oils that are not natural to us are going to go rancid. So some of it will be left behind and it will go rancid, and then it can cause inflammation. Okay, so that's just doing one thing on a regular basis that we shouldn't be doing. It's then going to stop the sebum coming out, which is nourishing, antibacterial, and exfoliating. But that sebum's going to go somewhere because your body is saying, we've got none of our natural oils on the scalp, so we must produce more sebum. And then that will block inside instead of coming out, it's got nowhere to go. So it's going to block inside, again, causing inflammation. If you add rosemary oil to that, which is a stimulating oil, you're going to speed up that whole process. So very, very quickly, you can get very sort of itchy, flaky scalp because you've overstimulated that whole situation, and you've put an oil on a hole where your own natural oils can't come out. So yeah, that may not take a couple of months. It could take a year, depending on how long you're leaving that on for. Now, I don't say that you can't put oil on your scalp or your hair at all. You can put oil on the scalp. So if someone's got like cradle cap, seborrheic dermatitis, this is how I address that situation. So I make an oil, I put the oil on the scalp, on the very, very hard plaques or waxy plaques on the scalp, and it softens it. You leave it on for about 20 minutes. Then you put the D2 lotion on, which then, so you've softened all the plaques on the scalp. You put the D2 lotion on, which then dissolves the oil, but also lifts the plaques off the scalp. So you can clear it very, very quickly. And then you shampoo the hair. So that's the only instance I would advise that you would put an oil on the scalp is if you've got very, very thick dermatitis-y, seborrheic dermatitis, and psoriasis on the scalp, because it can help soften it. But that's the only instance, and it's very, very, very short time.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I would recommend.
Yeah, and that's really concerning, isn't it? Do you see a lot of people in your practice who come in having used the
Yeah,
wrong thing on their scalp and they've created problems?
often, and they make up their own little routine. So they'll pick the chemical medicated versions, and then they'll take the medication, and then they'll do the rosemary and the castor oil, and then they'll get a red hat, or one of these infrared hats, or the combs that stimulate, and they're doing all of that, and they end up in a terrible mess.
Yeah, because those, when you say those combs that stimulate, do you mean those brushes? Well, they're round, aren't they, with the soft kind of rubber thingies, and you're meant to massage your scalp.
Yeah, but
That's what you're talking about.
exactly. So yeah, they're round and they've got little plastic spikes on, and you're meant to
Oh,
stimulate the
goodness.
scalp with one of these, and it's meant to exfoliate. Well, that if you've got very weak hair with lots of fractures, root level, it's just going to really cause a lot of problem.
Yeah.
Um, and it'd be like scratching. So
Oh,
constantly
making
scratching
me
your
itch just
skin,
thinking about
and
it.
all the damage that that's doing to the skin. It's a very delicate organ, and it's
Yeah.
a very important organ, and you can damage the hydrolipic field in that organ really, really quickly. And
Mm.
it's there for a reason. And there's so much going on under the skin. It needs to be protected. And the other thing it's doing, actually, if you're really massaging, give it a good rub. You used to hear some clients in salons give it a good rub. Well, what that's also doing is crushing the lymphatic system underneath the scalp. So you
Oh,
can't even
mm.
get rid of the waste that is underneath the scalp via the lymphatic system either.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because you're crushing it.
Oh, goodness me. So what you're saying then is to have a healthy scalp and to grow healthy hair,
Yeah.
you need to have follicles that are not inflamed and that are healthy,
Mhm.
and where your own sebum and so on is working as it should. And to do that, we don't want to be interfering with it and
Not
being
too much. It's being as gentle as you can. And if you feel the need to go and get injections into your scalp to put plasma or vitamins or whatever into your scalp, surely the best way to get nutrition into your bloodstream is to eat it.
yes.
And it's
I
going to
remember you
stay there for
saying to me,
longer, isn't it? It's going to
yes,
stay there for longer because your blood is flowing around all the time. Whereas to inject it into the skin, it's not natural. Your body's going to get rid of it pretty quickly. It's
yeah.
very, very quick fix. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first time I came to you when I had severe hair loss like 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
No, actually, it's probably 10 years ago
Mm.
now. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you said to me that I should eat beef because I'd been vegetarian for a long time because beef has got so much iron in it and I have a history of anemia.
Mm.
Um, and that would help the blood flow and my hair. So I've been eating beef for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair is.
It's very interesting actually because we've sort of got a mutual acquaintance, Dr. Bob Rukowski,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've done some seminars with him, and we talked about nutrition, and he says about heart health. So when they say you shouldn't eat beef because if you've got a bad heart, he said with the regular beef that they're grain fed and they're not very well looked after and that kind of thing, the ratio of omega-3s and 6 is too much 6 and not enough 3
Oh,
in
okay.
that environment. Whereas if you have pasture raised organic beef, slowly raised, then the ratio of omega-3s and 6 is perfect for
Yeah.
heart health.
Oh, well, there you go.
But it's not about what you eat, it's the quality of the
Yeah.
food that you eat to get the most benefit from it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so important, isn't it? The
Oh, yes,
quality. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all very interesting stuff.
It really is. And we're always learning, aren't we? If I think about, I've been a practitioner for nearly 30 years, and if I think about how much I continue to learn on a daily basis,
Mm.
it's just incredible. And I've learned so much from you about hair.
And I've also learned a lot from you as well, being a homeopath, and obviously all the neurodevelopment stuff as well. And that's the point. I'm not going to specialize in that, but I
No.
know where to send my clients if they've got a problem in that way, because I
Yeah.
know that they're going to get a benefit in that way.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I can talk about it in a way that helps my client understand, like you can with the hair.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it,
Oh,
but you are
gosh, no.
going to, you've got your own speciality, but at least understanding, and this is what we were talking about yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Understanding each other's business
Mm.
helps us grow as a network.
It
Um,
does. And sorry.
no, it's fine. I think there's a delay on this slightly.
And what I was going to say also was that you don't just do hair,
Mm,
because if you're going to have healthy hair, you need to know about nutrition, and you do. So you're so educated in nutrition as well because that supports the hair,
it
and
does.
that's just amazing. So
Yeah,
it's so much more than that, and
it is.
that's
It
yeah,
is. And when you said about your anemia, so anemia can be linked to leaky gut as well, because if you're
yeah,
not absorbing nutrients through your system, then
yeah,
it's not going to get to the hair because we don't need this to survive.
yeah,
And that's what we want it, but we don't
yeah,
need it to survive. And it's probably one of the things that sort of you get rid of because you don't want to waste the energy growing hair when you
yeah,
need to draw back and look after other things.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely with gut health is a major issue.
It
People
is. And I
are stressed.
Yeah, stress. And after I had my first son, well, during having my first son, I hemorrhaged, and they gave me Sintometrin. And because when you tend to hemorrhage at labour if you are a bit anemic anyway.
Right.
Please. So excuse me. So and then because you hemorrhage, you're then anemic, and then because you're anemic, your hair tends to fall out.
Yeah.
So that's where I was a few years ago from my first son, and then
Mm,
with my second son, I had anemia again, and then when I was going a bit menopausally,
mm,
I was having huge problems with anemia in that area as well. So that's all sorted out now. But
yeah.
yeah, so my hair really took the brunt of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And women need more iron as well because of their monthly bleeds.
Yeah,
So um, you're losing iron in that way. So it's even more important to support your system.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
with all nutrients, isn't it?
mm,
All the ones we need to make us
well, this
healthy.
is the other thing. People go, oh, biotin is good for hair. They'll go out and they get 2,000 whatever of biotin, and then they'll start getting acne. And biotin is renowned
Yeah,
for causing acne problem if you're susceptible to that. So
Goodness.
again, one thing alone isn't going to do it.
Yeah. And that's why seeing a therapist is so
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some of my clients go, oh, 7 pages of consultation form that I send them. One,
Yeah.
it's not really 7 pages because the font's so big so that everybody can see it. Probably about 4 pages. Uh, but I need as much information as possible
Yeah.
because you've only, like you've only got an hour with someone
Yeah.
to ask just all those questions. It's going to be the hour, and then you haven't really got to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a lot of the information up front, then you can sort of surmise a little bit what's going on, and then you can delve a little bit deeper into some of the answers that your clients have given you. Um,
And
yeah,
you look at hair under a microscope, don't you?
I do.
And what can you tell from looking at hair under a microscope?
Um, the main things I'm looking for is stress, hormones, and nutrition, and the quality of the scalp, because sometimes because I have to take a hair sample as in pull it, so I need to look at the root of the hair. So if the color of the hair under the polarized microscope is really vibrant and not looking at the actual color of the hair, then that's telling me that the person is either supplementing, got good diet, and they're absorbing. So that's one of the main things. Looking at stress, the hair really shows stress. That's very apparent. And also hormonal fluctuations as well. So that would tell me if there was male or female pattern hair loss. I can determine that. And just by looking at the scalp, because I've got a microscope that goes onto the scalp so I can see, again, I can see if there is any inflammation. Because if all the blood vessels are very close to the top, then initially you'd look at the scalp and it's a bit pink and it's a bit, getting on for the red side, but you can see a lot deeper. Um, yeah, there's lots of things it can see, and that's just sort of the tip of the iceberg, because sometimes I'll see 3 different kinds of bulbs, and that combination means something completely different.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but seeing one hair in isolation, you wouldn't be able to get an overall picture. Uh,
Yeah.
it would
So you
just
take about 20 hairs, don't you? And if there's more than something like
mm,
7 in telogen effluvium, you know that you've got hair loss. Is that
no,
correct?
3. So out of a sample,
3.
yeah. So out of a sample of 25, if there are 3 telogen bulbs, then that is telling me that they're experiencing hair loss. So that would be the shock and the stress, the postpartum hair loss. That's all telogen effluvium,
Mm.
or certain medications are causing it as well,
Yeah.
um, as we've sort of discussed. But yeah, so that would be your telogen effluvium. Yeah, but only 3 or more. It's not.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was more. I couldn't remember. Wow.
I
It's
know.
so fascinating. I always learn so much from you.
Well, if you imagine you've got, say, 100,000 hair follicles, so 100,000 hairs, it's not, it's about 150. But and if you do the maths on that, so say you had, yeah, 250,000 hairs and 30,000 are telogen effluvium.
Yeah.
Is that the right maths? I don't know, you're asking the wrong person. But anyway, so 3 out of 25
Oh,
is a
anyway.
lot of hair coming out. You would
Yeah.
noticeably see that. Yeah.
And also, I remember you telling me that in each hair follicle, there are a certain number of like hair seeds, for example, if you want to call them that. And
Mm.
then that one will grow for, say, 7 years and fall out, and then the next one will grow. And there's only 13. How many are in a
Between 25 and 30.
so we've got more than enough for a lot of lifetimes if our hair is growing properly.
Yeah, so
So
if your hair was growing 5 years,
yeah,
each hair,
yeah.
and you had 30 times 5, you would die with hair.
Yeah. But if your hair's growing for 1 year and breaking off, you're going to burn out of all your hair and lose it.
Yeah, so
And
you'll burn out, you'll run out of hair cells. So
yeah,
once the hair cells have gone, that's why with male pattern baldness, So what happens with male pattern baldness? They talk about the miniaturization of hair. Okay. So what happens is their hair will grow for 5 years. When they're young, they'll hit a certain point. They start getting the sensitivity to the testosterone, which converts to DHT, dihydrotestosterone, which not only makes the hair thinner, it makes it live less time. So if one hair dies and falls out and that hair lived 5 years, the next one 4 years, the next one 3 years, the next one 2 years, within a space of sort of 10, 15 years, you're going to run out of more hair cells than someone whose one individual hair is living 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
So it not only thins, but the lifespan shortens.
So with male pattern baldness, then, if you can maintain a healthy hair follicle and keep their hormones in a good state, then you can keep the hair growing longer and you can reduce the impact of male pattern baldness. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and you can extend. So the younger you are, if you've got hair loss issues in the family, so genetic hair loss issues, then the quicker you can get to looking after your scalp, the longer that you will have hair for. Now, interestingly,
Yeah.
we detox through our lipids, don't we?
Yeah.
So DHT comes through the sebum of the scalp. And that's what causes the sensitivity and shortens the lifespan of hair. Often, men with male pattern hair loss and females as well, they've got very oily scalp. So the oilier the scalp is, the more the DHT will affect the hair growth and they'll lose hair much quicker. So just by calming down the sebaceous glands and keeping the scalp clear, will have an instant knock-on effect to male pattern and female pattern baldness.
That's just mind blowing.
I know. Yeah. Just that doing that one thing.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. So this is again where the fallacy of not washing your hair very often can affect hair loss.
Yeah.
If you're leaving the oil on the scalp, then it's going to impact on the male and female pattern baldness clients.
Right,
So you
crumbs. That's just
keeping it,
interesting.
yeah. So you need to be keeping it cleaner and clearer,
Yeah. Wow.
not sort of going week on end without washing your hair. And I
Yeah.
get it. I do get it. Because if you are, every time you wash your hair, you're seeing sort of hundreds hairs falling out,
Yeah.
it's distressing.
Oh, like I was. I
Yeah.
was. I remember, that much. I remember combing my hair in the shower once, and it was just like I was combing it all off my head. It was, it was just so distressing.
But if you're losing that amount of hair every time you're washing your hair,
Yeah.
it's really tempting to only wash your hair once a week because you think that you're only going to lose that amount of
Laying.
hair once, but you're not. Because if your hair is dying, if you're getting 100 hairs a day dying,
Mm.
at the end of the week, that's 700 hairs that need to come out.
Oh my goodness, can you
But
imagine?
which is why clients say, well, no, I don't wash my hair very often because every time I wash my hair, I lose hair. That hair has to come out. It can't stay
Yeah,
scalp dead. It's not going to attach to a blood supply. So
no,
if you wash your hair every day and lose 100 hairs, it has the same effect by the end of the week as washing it once a week, except it's less distressing.
yeah, I get it.
Losing
Wow.
less every day than losing like a small mammal's worth.
Yeah, small
You
mammal.
know, yeah, you've
There's
got
a
like a
hamster of
hamster
hair.
sized ball of hair.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
really, it's distress, but I do get it.
it's so distressing. And I remember when I first met you, 10 years ago, when my hair was an absolute
Yeah,
mess.
what
And
did I say to you?
one of the first things you said to me was, "What the hell's going on with your hair?" But you said it nicely because I've always had really, really long bum length hair. And when I met you, it was here and thin. And for some reason, you just knew that there was a problem, not even having known that I'd got long hair before. And I came to see you, and you gave me the lotion, which you leave on overnight.
Mm.
And I kid you not, within 2 weeks, my hair was, it was noticeably coming out, growing. And it was just absolutely incredible. And then my hair grew down long again. And then I had flu 4 years ago, and fevers destroy hair again, put it into telogen effluvium, don't they? And then I had, this is when the hair loss was horrendous again, but 4 years ago. But no, look, it's just been, you can see how thick it is. It's just been growing out for the last, and I don't brush it very often, but I do wash it. It's clean. I just don't brush it. But you can see how thick it is.
It's really, and it's good condition as well. Where it's really
Yeah.
rare that blondes have shiny hair.
Is it?
Yeah, because you haven't got the light reflecting on it. So it's easy for dark hair to look shiny.
Oh, yeah. It's,
But that's the other thing you said when you use the D2 lotion. So if
yeah,
again, if I do the explanation and explain why sometimes things can feel like they're getting worse before they're getting better.
yeah,
So the D2 lotion will unblock a blocked hair follicle. So if there are any blockages in the hair follicle because you've not been washing your hair very often or using product, a dead hair can stay stuck in the hair follicle, almost like a little blob of glue. So you've got your sebum that's dry, and sweat that's dried and dead skin cells, and that's keeping that hair in the hair follicle. Well, if you're using a lotion that's going to unblock the hair follicles, it will release the dead hairs within a
yeah.
couple of weeks.
And
Uh,
that will make it seem like you're losing more, but
will.
actually, it's just like sweeping the room
Yeah,
to enable the new hair to grow healthily up the follicle as it should.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. And
So,
I can vouch for it because I've been through this process
I know.
twice. Yeah, very
Yeah,
glad to know you.
yeah. So yeah, and that's just scratching the surface of it, really.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Great. So um, that was wonderful. Thank you for talking to me today about your incredible trichology practice and top tips for people who are watching to be able to have some guidance and support on hair and understanding of it and know where to come when they need help with it. So,
Absolutely.
um,
But the beauty of the hair in the box range is that it's doing amazing work all by itself. Um,
yeah,
I've got clients all over the world that just buy the hair in the box and they just get on with the whole treatment
yeah,
all by themselves and they're getting amazing results. So
yeah,
it's great because they're not having to come to see me,
yeah,
which is the good thing. Um,
yeah,
it means
yeah.
I can get out to more people.
Yeah, it's not always easy, is it, for somebody in another country to come and see you, whereas they can buy the hair in the box and they can sort themselves out. Great. So thank you, Cheryl. And we'll put the details below so that people can get in touch with you and me if they want to.
Yeah, well, I'll put it probably on my YouTube channel, so that will
Cool.
it's easy, and then I can put sort of links and stuff to both of our websites and stuff. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you very
Wonderful.
much, Sarah. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome. I love talking to you. I'll catch up with you very soon.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.